ourselves to you. With me today, Owlcat Games Creative Director Alexander Mishulin, Senior Game Designer Leonid Tolachenko, and me, your humble Community Manager Lisa aka Wandering Dragon. And well, we have a really special occasion today. A day we've been waiting for so long and we've been preparing for so long, because today, as you already know, of course, we're launching Pathfinder Kingmaker Definitive Edition, both for consoles and for PC. And today we will rock through the game, show the best, the most juicy features, and of course we'll be showing you the so much awaited, so desired turn-based mode, and we will see how it all looks with this changed interface on Xbox. And at the end of the stream, we'll also hold a big Q&A session with our guests from Paizo. So let's jump right into Leonid. Okay. Start wielding your
my instrument.
Your instrument.
Yeah.
So and yes, the thing we'll start with the thing, I guess, that every respected future Baron should do when starting any campaign, right?
We'll start a new campaign and probably pick the normal difficulty because it's evening and I don't want to think too hard. As you can see, there are a lot of different options in the difficulty settings, so you can probably choose something else for your game, but I'll go with this. And for sure I'll pick a new character. I don't want to pick a pre-generated character, but you can. So
every time you want to write us, please make this or that or balance this and that, be sure you can do that all yourself, with a big choice of options.
Well, not everything, but for the most part you can. I think I'll create a character based on a portrait, and I like this one. And I like monarchs.
Oh. As you can see, the interface changed rather drastically because we're supporting gamepads and consoles, and for gamepads we need to structure information in different way and to provide you with choices differently to wield it more comfortably while sitting on your couch and watching the TV. The text is larger, information is a bit more sparse, but structured in many screens to provide you with all the details for character generation, but in more streamlined manner.
Okay, so I'll go with a Skilled Fist Monk, probably because I like monks and Skilled Fist monks. Of course, a left-handed character.
There are a lot of heritages for Asmers to first customize them.
And I have to pick Angelkin because I want a strength-based monk. So
and charisma for skill.
Yeah.
We have one question: is it that you are on PC too? And yeah, we need to say that the PC version was remade greatly too, and you can just plug in your controller and
and the game will ask whether you want to play with controller. If you do, it will relaunch itself, and you will be playing with the controller with all these new interfaces and screens.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, let's go like this probably. Yeah, we'll go with.
Bite?
Yeah.
They are going to bite everybody.
Yeah,
So-
with an abstract.
You've decided to cut all the questions about monks. You decided to choose the monk
Yeah.
right away.
I have a feeling we'll have several questions about monks, so. Oh, and for sure, lawful evil.
That's
sure.
because you are.
Yeah.
Hesitation?
Uh,
Heal me quickly.
You can.
Well, maybe we can ask the chat.
Yeah, about the
What,
name.
what name do you want? What do you feel like? The first one was Aurora. The second one was Stratagemini with name is Blame Inanki.
Okay, so
Also we have Catalina.
let's go with this name.
Our webcam is closing the name field. Maybe you could change for now. For the whole screen will begin.
Okay, let's go like this,
Out of my way.
and we see the end result, and I probably like it.
And a slew of abilities that spans.
Yeah. Okay. We're ready to start the game.
You actually named her Blame Inanki.
Yeah.
What a fun
it's a
service.
strange name, but well, she's an Asima, so
Zimaras are strange.
yeah, they can have strange names, probably.
Where are they? This is taking
Okay,
forever.
so do we listen to the voices or do we just skip it?
Where are the
Well,
Alpha anyway? Bridge found?
I think there is a number of our usual players who already know this, but we may mention for the new ones, our new fellow Pathfinders who joined us today, that this is the very first thing. I think you can skip, but we can like mention what's going on, right?
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so we're one of the adventurers in the mansion of Jamandi Aldori. She is de facto ruler of Restov, city on the border of Brivoy. Brivoy is a nation that comprises of several warlords. They are kind nobility and rulers for this place, and she's sending a bunch of adventurers to get rid of the bandit lord that has a lair somewhere to the south of the Brivoy borders. And at the same time, she's promising a great reward for the service. You will be granted a barony. And
Sounds nice.
yeah, and it
For
And
some
fishing.
adventurer.
and from the questions that you can ask through the dialects, you can understand that something political probably can be going on, but it still sounds very, very nice. And destroying the bandits are the thing for the beginning adventurers, so why not?
That's probably a thing that any adventurer who came do this whole is usually used to make to do.
Either this or kill some rats and sewers.
Yeah. So why don't we just kill a bunch of bandits?
In the sewers.
For this, you have to bring them into the sewers.
Well, I can. I'm lawful evil. It's probably not out of character to actually bring someone to the sewers and then beat the hell out of them.
We have another question. Do we have this console interface on PC instead of normal one? As just as we've already said, if you decide to play with a controller, you can just plug it in and have like a normal console interface with bigger texts and everything. And if you want to play normally, just as you usually do with a keyboard and mouse, then you just don't plug in it and play it as usual and have more usual interface, right?
Okay.
So just as simple as that.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll probably just go and
Yeah, so as you can see, right now we are playing in turn-based mode, and
the battle is over.
Yeah, and we destroyed the bandit with just one strike.
That's why we had an idea to not to play turn-based mode.
Yeah, I'll
For
probably
the
play
tutorial.
the tutorial in the real-time mode.
It's really easy to switch on and off throughout the game. You can.
It's literally one button. Bomb, it's real-time. And you can do it in battle too. For example, if you have a hard battle where you need to think it through, and you start in a turn-based mode, but when it's basically over, you only need to beat the last few enemies. You can just turn on the real-time mode and end the battle quickly.
Yeah, it's very convenient. You can play real time and destroy ordinary foes, and then when something goes not right or you encounter something powerful, you just turn into turn base and
Have some greater control over the course of battle.
and vice versa. If something is then it's that if something is solved and you have to just deal with the rest of the minions, you can hit a button and it turns into real time and finishes in several seconds.
Oh, and I forgot to mention,
Some
we also will have some nice giveaways today. So we'll be giving away some Xbox Pathfinder Kingmaker codes. So please stay tuned to our Twitch chat. There will be some prizes there. You don't want to miss it.
So I'm going through the
That's the place I've died 2 times while going through the tutorial. It was during 2 separate playthroughs, but for some reason I just couldn't stand it. I think it's my super ability to do here.
I've seen some people die in this room several times, but usually those are people who pick some of the high difficulties.
The first
And
time
it
was
can be a little bit tricky.
first time was on story mode, and the second time was on normal.
Okay.
I have
Okay.
upgraded, and
I think my
normal.
comment is
Well taken.
But I'm a type of person who plays more for story, not for mechanical choices and builds and stuff.
yeah, you can easily pick the story mode difficulty and just play anything you want.
And get some fish.
Ah, I don't see the door.
Battles await.
As you can see, I loot only the valuables because we have encumbrance system in the game, and you don't really want to mindlessly take every piece of loot you see. It can negatively affect your characters.
Especially for monks who are really fast and
Yeah.
but some of the abilities works only when they're not really encumbered, so it's not picking a lot of stuff. It's not great for monks.
And encumbered characters actually move slower and they become fatigued faster. So if you plan to travel long distances on the global map, which we can will see a bit later, you don't really want to have too much on you.
So we met Amiri once again. She was destroying those bandits in the hall. Amiri is an iconic character for the Pathfinder, for the role-playing system, and this is the only iconic character that is present in the game and travels with you, and we are telling her story and details of her background. So if you are into the Pathfinder adventures and stories about iconic characters, this one is pretty interesting.
Applause, please.
So I guess we didn't mention it for people who maybe not paying too much attention that well, yes, we started our great adventure, but it was cut accidentally through the night, and
Anything else?
house of Jamandi Aldor was attacked,
No one stands in my
and
way.
now we
Battles
just
await.
need to, before we actually start, we need to
Losing my temper.
What have we here?
We need
go
to survive
through the
and
night.
reach some safe place, probably help Lady Aldori with her problem with bandits.
Yes, and while we're surviving, we're meeting some of the first characters,
Do what you want.
some of the first companions.
Won't be halted.
You decided to not to take money?
Not take money. I'm lawful. I'm evil, but I'm lawful. And I literally have no reason to steal from a person who pays me money. It's a little bit stupid,
How did they or
I'll
at least from my perspective.
just once.
What do you mean undead?
As I said, further
And we meet another character, another great one,
Yeah.
an undead elf,
Applause, please.
Jital.
No one stands in my way. Head on!
I'm just.
It's easy to disarm those traps, but also, as J-Tal mentions it, there is another way to deal with them. She's an undead, and those traps will not hurt her. So she can just go through the corridor, trigger every trap, and the problem solved.
So basically, it's an example how you can solve different, even smaller things differently. You can disarm her, or if you have an undead character, you can just go through.
Yeah, the Pathfinder role-playing system is very deep and allows you to make different characters, to approach the situations differently, and try to find out the solution that is working well for this particular situation. Whereas, for example, when we are compiling the party, we need to have a tank, but tanks can be different. We will eventually meet a character that is great usual tank with a lot of armor, with a great shield, and
The big
yeah.
AC.
Yes. On the other hand, you can build. We have a monk character This one is strength based, but we can build a dexterity based monk. And dexterity based monk will be evading every attack. AC will be just as high, but this character will not be as meaty. And there will be differences in the situation. When
So instead of receiving the impact, he or she will be dodging, like the way.
yes, so role-playingly speaking, yes, in both cases you will not be dealt damage mechanically. But there are different situations when some actions denies you dexterity. For example, if you are at the beginning of the fight, you are rolling for initiative, and if your initiative is not so good, enemies will be acting fast, and you will not be able to dodge and evolve. And in this particular situation, the usual tank with all this armor and metal over him will be more effective. On other hands, when some wizard tries to hit you with a ray attack or with some magic, armor doesn't matter at all. And in these cases, the monk tank will be far more effective because wizards will miss him, but they will hit the proverbial armor tank. So there are a lot of different situations like that, and a lot of opportunities for you to.
If only there was a way to know in priorly who you will meet.
You still have 6 characters, and you're compiling a party, trying to deal with most of the imaginable situations. So when you're first time meeting an enemies who have problems dealing with, for example, they easily hit your characters, or they do something nasty. You're trying to find a way to counter them through the system. If somebody poisons you, there is a spell that prevents me from being poisoned. Something hits with fire, okay, I will be looking for something that protects me from fire. If something is immune to physical damage, I will try to find a way to deal magical damage. And as I am progressing through the game, this list of abilities of something I can do to the enemies, it grows and gives me more tools to address the particular battle situation.
And that's where it gets more and more interesting.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right. What if
So
the
I
fires are
see
lit?
you already tried to change your
Formation.
formation.
Well,
right?
I was shown a tutorial about it,
Yes.
so
Mhm.
I decided to show that I can actually pick from one of several predetermined formations, so I can make my own.
And that's right when we were asked why Lindsay as a bard was in the first row. So now you see the person who asked this.
Yeah, we can
Just
change the
can change.
we can change the formation at any time, and it is advisable to do so, to put your bards and archers or casters to the back row, and try to put your tanks up front to deal with enemies.
Oh, I see the giveaway is already going on, so please pay attention. There are not too many codes. And we meet our the very first, I believe, book event in the game.
Yes, this is events that tell the stories in kind of choose your own adventure books when you're present with situation, and there are some choices for you, and usually they're tied to the either very important events or events that our camera and our perspective doesn't allow us to show in their full glory. So we are just making as a special event with all these pictures to immerse you even deeper into the story and in the things that transpire over there.
It's maybe one of the places when also our game meets with the tabletop game mode.
In my opinion, it resembles one. It's not really make a closer connections because when you're playing this game at the tables, GM will usually narrate all this stuff. It will be both for battle, for the dialogue, and for the
So it's
events like that.
more of the general design of the game, yeah, which is just designed as a book which Lindsay writes.
Yes, it's kind of frame for the story. We thought it will be interesting to and more immersive, not to just have an interfaces that just happens to be containing all the information about your adventure, your quests, your everything. Instead of that, we decided that it's more interesting when there is a bar turn with you that tells your story, and while you're traveling, this book is writing itself.
It's growing.
Yeah, it's
growing.
growing.
And yes, for some questions you're leaving in the chat, and we leave them unanswered yet. Please don't be worried because I will remind you we'll have a big Q&A session later, and some of the questions we just collect them to be answered later. So yeah, please don't be worried. Please just wait. We'll just answer some of them later. Yeah.
So there's a place for first rather big decision.
Battles await. I'm losing my temper.
Well, the first one was to steal or not to steal.
The enemy was strong, but
And it was a big, it was a small, big decision.
The vile king of Pitax, Irovec.
So yeah, could you please tell a bit more about this? Actually, this place and choices.
Actually, yes, this one we reached Jamal Dori, and it's apparent that somebody orchestrated this attack, and one of the characters that was traveling with us, Tucha, tries to blame us as one of the attackers from the one of the river kingdoms, Pitax. And
Sorry, my name is kind of funny.
yes.
I bet my life despite anyone but blame an uncle.
And so it happens that we are trying to defend ourselves and present arguments against the Tartuccio claims. And Tartuccio reminds what we have done while we are traveled here. For example, in here we are just rushed into the armory, and right now his claims are rather weak. We are just stole some weapons, which is kind of understandable in all this situation. While if we took the money, Tartuccio would say that, oh, and we grabbed the money from you, and you would be
Trying to catch you on that.
yes. And characters that are present are reacting to your decision and reacting on how you answered the claims from Tartuccio.
What about that trick she pulled right
So
before?
there's no actual
Set your match
choice
on
of
fire. And as we were approaching the room,
straight
we
choice
saw
of
your brave guards.
your first companions here, but there's a
Yes, the
more story-like mechanics.
companions.
They choose.
Yeah,
to
they
join
choose you. They see how you act, and what did you choose to say, and what did you choose to do, and because of that, they either
They
decide to
join
travel with you and form your initial party, or they decide to travel with Stratucha that forms another party to go into the Stolen Lands and try to defeat the Staglers. And eventually you will be meeting entire cast of the characters, and you will be meeting those that came with Stratucha, and you see what transpired with them, what is their fate. But for now, it's a rather big decision how you performed yourself, and that leads to different party composition in the beginning of the game. Some characters will always join you. For example, Amiri, she just dislikes Stratucha so much that she decides to, okay, I will go with
I will join
Inamke.
any S person.
I will go with Blame Inamke.
I will be blame him
Yes.
all the way long.
Another character decides that she will join neither of those two, and eventually she will also appear in the story. But for now, she will be just going away.
Okay,
We're
that's
done
all for
with
the
tutorial.
tutorial, yeah. So from here we actually get to the world map, which is kinda big,
Which is cool. I like
a
it.
little bit big.
Because it's like
That's not the end.
also gives you
Okay, that's the end.
gives you the feeling
Yeah,
moving
there is a lot of things,
the figures.
a lot of to see here, and I think we'll go until our first encounter here, and then we'll switch to a later save, so that we can see a little bit of the not end game but middle game at least.
To show off the turn-based mode with worse enemies.
Yeah, with enemies and with more abilities and
Play with,
tactical
yes.
things we can actually do. So this fight, okay, I will run away.
Okay,
Oh, those are very, very scary thylacines.
we have another question here. Did you make changes to the inventory, and can you show more of the turn-based combat in a bigger battle, please? I'll start from the end of the question. Of course, we have some prepared save files for to show you the turn-based mode in some more interesting micromanagement situations, and of course, yeah, we'll show you the inventory too. Just a little bit later. Yeah?
Yeah.
Will you maybe go to some vendor or something?
No, at some point, yeah.
Yeah, at some point.
So in here we have a rest. And usually in most of the games, rest is just hitting a button and regaining your health and energy and everything. But when we were playing at the table, and it was mentioning that entire team played at the table.
That's a huge part.
We had several campaigns running simultaneously. We understood that it is a huge part of the tabletop adventure. People are planning what they're going to do, or discussing recent events, or discussing how they will survive a night when situation is very dramatic, and there
To
are
actually feel your companions as companions and co-players.
yeah. And because of that, we decided that we want rest to be something bigger, and including the system when you assign your companions and your character to different positions, like somebody will be cooking, somebody will be trying to hunt and bring some food to the table, or sometimes if hunting goes badly, then hunter will run back screaming and something will run after
Or
after.
complaining
Yeah, and it happened
that nobody does it.
it happened at the table so many times when our hunter went away and brought food
Alive.
alive, yeah. And this food were trying to eat the party. Or
Happens
yeah,
usually.
you are assigning characters to stand watch because sometimes you get ambushed at night, and also you can see those characters when they perform their duties at the camp. They talk to each other, and they have some relationships between them. Some characters like or dislike each other, or they grow. The relationship grow over time, and they come to understand each other. Or sometimes they just reminding you of the past adventures. Or sometimes they just remember in their past, like Lindsay sometimes asking, how come I finished the Bart Academy at Pitex, where just everybody drinks, and I couldn't drink too much. I just got drunk immediately. It's funny small bits of information that make characters even deeper.
Share your
Okay, so I've been going through some menus so that people can actually see them, what they look like. And now I think we'll switch to a later save.
I like how part of menu just turned to cards.
Well,
Looks nice.
yeah.
It looks nice.
So, okay, so let's load a game. I think we'll load game with a kingdom. First, or with a big battle.
With the big battles.
Okay,
People
okay.
are asking for battles. Let's do battles. And then we'll
We
go.
have another question. Is this only for consoles? No. It's you can have the same interface on your PC if you plug in your
Gamepad.
controller. So yeah, and it's not only the console UI in the whole. It's turn-based mode which also required big changes
Yeah.
for UI.
The turn.
So the whole UI will adapt.
There are quite a lot of changes that comes with the controller, like those interface switches. This is completely different spellbook from the if you are trying to compare it to the PC version of the game. But turn-based mode is another big task for UI as well, and this was made for console and made for PC. Those are two different UIs. One with a gamepad and one the turn-based mode that is playing with keyboard and mouse. They're a little bit different. They have the same functionality, of course.
I'm just going through the spells so that I'm sure I'm ready for the upcoming battle, which will be one of the
Battles on the Bald Hilltop, I
Yeah.
guess.
yeah.
Nice. You picked the easiest one.
For sure. Yeah, I know.
Come on, we're relaxing here.
It's not the hardest battle in the world. That's totally true, but I still will have to first turn on turn-based combat, then I'll start applying some buffs. This can take some time.
Yeah, pre-buffing, especially when you're playing on bigger difficulty levels, pre-buffing is very important because
Yeah.
it provides you with a lot of power. And it's a place where we're a little bit different from tabletop, because on tabletop you're pre-buffing only for some battles you know will happen, and it's not all of the battles, and especially for buffs that span several rounds or several minutes. You usually either do them in battle or just not do them before. In computer game, you usually know that you next battle is
You can
over there,
always
and
save
you can
or
always
upload.
and you can always prepare. And but it's a little bit of difference between the tabletop and the computer game. And sometimes because of that, for the challenging optional battles, they're harder than the things you usually fight on the table. Because you can precisely prepare to this particular enemy. But if we are talking about the usual battles that go throughout the game, they don't require this.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there is some automation for turn-based mode. For example, you can want to micromanage completely everything and press end of turn manually, because sometimes you want to make a small 5-foot movement after you shoot an arrow or made several attacks.
Or you may want things go a bit faster.
Yes.
And have some things pre-programmed.
Yes, and if you want to do that, the end of turn will come as soon as you made move and standard action, or if you made a full round action, like full attack over here, and then turn will end. It robs you a little bit of control over this, but it make it feels faster and more smooth.
Please pay attention at the bottom of the screen, because there's so much going on. There are some tips and
there are a lot of abilities that Leonid is using to make.
I mean, there is an adaptive UI that helps you and shows you many small bits of things that going on in turn-based mode.
Actually, you can see all the types of actions you
Yes.
have during one round with one character, and you see them all in the at the bottom of the screen.
And the situation changes a bit depending on the situation and the character and abilities.
Yeah, and you can actually see which action or spell or ability takes which slot of your actions. So this, for example, takes your movement action. So and this your standard action, and you can always understand what you can do and what you can't do during one round. So I can start this performance, and I'll probably make a sound burst somewhere over here. Okay, and failed. And I can actually open the combat log and see what happened with it. And I failed to overcome the spell resistance of this enemy.
Yeah. And when you are planning the movement by some character, you see the line going from the character to the particular destination, and also there are information on that highlighting if there will be attacks on opportunity, things that enemy can do to you when you are moving just past the enemy.
Yeah.
Those red parts on the line means when you go in there, you will be hit. And those dots over the line means that for this particular movement you will spend both move action and standard action. So you have more control and more information, and it is far closer to the tabletop in this
And
regard.
that's really important detail and ability in the tabletop you can now do is moving 5 feet.
Yeah, actually you can do this in real time as well.
It's much
Yes, it's
less-
much more difficult because you have to just move a very small direction, and if you are moving a very small direction from the enemy, enemies consider this a 5-foot step in terms of rules and will not provoke attack of
But
opportunity
now you
from you.
can actually count.
Yes. Now you
No,
can just
for
press a
sure.
button and move this aforementioned 5 feet, and it will be considered as 5 feet. But as per rules of the tabletop, you will be robbed of your. You will not be able to move further in the round. So you still have your move action. You can spend it for something. For example, for starting a song with a bard of high enough level, but you will not be able to move further.
Okay, I probably need to move a little bit.
And with all that, we don't have the battlefield is not.
You mean there is no grid on the battlefield?
That's no. Yeah. That's what
And yeah, you can move freely. It still counts the distance, and you spend your action according to that. You can move in small steps if you want to. It's not like you just press a button, moved 5 feet out of your 40 feet of movement, and you stop. You can just very, very slowly pinpoint each steps of the way and make a very special trajectory through the battlefield. And if you look at the left side of the screen, there is an order of initiative in the battle. You can see which character will move after your current character. For example, now Lindsay is doing her part, and then Christian will take an action, and then one of the enemies will be acting and do something nasty.
And I know we had big discussions on how to place this field, the initiative.
Yes.
And after all, the discussions came to the idea that it should start on the bottom. It may feel a little bit unusual at first, but you should get used for it quickly.
Yes, it's the idea is that your current character, when Amiri will be moving, you're acting with Amiri right now, and her actions are just at the center of the screen, and her portrait is to the left of the screen.
Yeah.
So they
There.
kind of merge together into the whole character and action bar thing. Because of that, it goes with bottom to the top. The current character is at the bottom, and those who will be moving after this character is going upwards.
So once you get used to it, it makes a lot of sense.
And it's a little bit different for the keyboard and mouse when there is this particular order of initiative is placed at the top of the screen because of the other UI elements all throughout the main HUD. We had to place it over there. And you can see the buffs, the states of enemies. Very important states are highlighted with icons to the left. For example, if there will be an enemy missing an action, like under the influence of the hold person spell or some other paralyzing effect, it will be highlighted, and you will be knowing that this particular character will not be moving, and you will probably want to do something about that, or just if it is an enemy, you want to try to get your characters as close to them and make a coup de grace attack and just destroy it outright.
Okay. I made a tactical mistake previous round, going to the side to make the Cone of Cold spell hit more targets without hitting my party. And now my main character is a pickle a little bit. I hope the enemies will I kinda ignore him.
Well, you know who to play.
My previous character, yeah. Right. I hope Amira will actually kill those bears.
Yeah, when attacks happens, you can see small numbers over the heads of the enemies, and you can see not only the damage, but also the information about the
Excuse me.
information about the values that you need to roll or enemy needs to roll to hit your character. So this gives you an understanding whether this will happen often. Like, for example, if I hit something even on a roll of 3, it will happen all the time, or it will not happen at all. I have to roll 20 to hit this particular character. Okay, I will be waiting for that forever.
Okay. So I'm making 5 steps.
Because this mirror imaged bear
Will probably kill me if I don't do it. So, and I look for some defensive spells. Haste, a good defensive spell. It's a spell that basically makes your characters move twice as fast, strike
with
one time
additional
more.
attack.
Yeah, and well, it's a good idea.
I think the bear will break it. It's strong.
I have to try.
Yes.
It's basically the only thing I can do. Oh my god. Oh, he failed the reflex save.
No, he succeeded.
Oh my god. I'm in a pickle, as I said before. But there are several characters who actually I can try to heal and place Lindsay a little bit closer to the bear. Yeah.
Bear, yeah. Because probably the bear will decide to eat a halfling instead of you.
Halfling sounds tasty. So, and some early healing. Okay, and Miri is going to do
Reduce
some damage.
Reduce some amount of bears.
Okay, so now our best character in the game. Okay, actually no, tanks the bear.
But the best is the mastodon,
Yeah.
who is not presented here.
It's
It's a custom character,
Yeah.
it doesn't count. This girl has a lot of
there are some
defenses.
choices for the animal companions. Somebody prefers wolves, somebody prefers melodons, somebody prefers mastodons.
Yeah. So let's try actually getting rid of this thing here. And some pretty good damage. What can Lindsay do?
And your main
Oh, I know.
character is
Is a wizard.
wizard.
Not the best wizard in the world, but well.
Bluster type.
Kinda don't know what to do with Lindsay for now.
So the battle turned out not so easy as you expected.
I didn't expect it to be easy.
I was just joking a little bit because the Bald Hilltop has the sequence of rather difficult battles that's spaced throughout the game, and they are quite a lot of players find them hard.
They're becoming more and more.
Yeah,
difficult.
they're progressively harder and harder. They give you a lot of warning, and they said that you know when they're coming, and you can try to have your characters in the best shape possible, and they kind of prepares you for the final chapter of the game.
Kind.
Kind of. Yeah. They. How would I say it without spoiling it? It provides you with glimpses of enemies that you will be dealing with.
Maybe dealing with.
Maybe dealing with, yeah.
We have another question. Is it possible to take a delay turn action?
Yes.
That's it. Maybe.
Yes.
Can we show?
I don't know
have
what will happen if we will do that. Because there is a bear who tries to eat a lot of characters.
So
We
it's
can try.
not the best moment to
Yeah,
show it.
yes. After the bear attacks, we can try to delay the Ekandire action a little bit to another character. You can press the left on the D-pad and then select.
I know, but okay, I'll delay him because actually we have all the party. Actually, it's a good idea to delay him now because I'm going to actually cast some haste. So he will get an additional attack. Thank you, chat. I actually didn't think about it, but that's a good idea. So I have some extended haste here. And now we're a little bit stronger, and I'll actually go away from this bear.
Run away!
With haste, I can run all over the battlefield like 2 times, 3 times.
Not with Lindsay.
Uh,
She's still.
Well, that's quite a bit of distance for one move action,
Yeah.
and this is full move. She can run away. But she won't. She's a good person. Probably.
She will tank a bear?
No. She's not such a good person. I'll actually just shoot with her at this nasty
Serves you right.
girl with several mirror images. And now several less. That's actually great for a Condire. So he can deal some. If he
Rolls kind of.
ever hits,
Yeah.
but that's not in my power to.
We have a very, very nice comment, which is not a question, but I just must read it to you. Best dev team in the world. Oh,
Thank you.
This thing. I'm kind of playing, so. Okay, so.
you're showing your love while playing the game the best as you can.
Okay, so we have actually only one enemy left. And that's good.
Do not falter.
Because now we can actually.
She has pretty nice armor class.
Yeah, she's not an easy target to hit, but well, I'll try targeting her touch AC, but
You deserve it.
Yeah.
Well, I really hope we will have some time left to show the kingdom management
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
we definitely will.
I think we'll actually move to the kingdom management after this battle.
Yes, I think.
can die makes me sad sometimes.
I'll try to make this swift.
Okay, Tristan needed to roll 20 to hit the target, and he did it.
Damn.
Oh,
You got poison.
that's not too scary. After all, we have a big angry wolf here. I'll turn on the defensive stance for now.
Onwards! Ha! Ha!
Oh, what were the chances? Oh,
50-50.
it's displacement.
It's
Okay.
completely fair.
So someone from the chat doesn't like that we gave Valerie a flaming sword.
But why? It looks cool.
I don't know.
Okay, let's see if I have some. I
Magic
don't.
missiles.
Yeah. Oh,
And we also have this question about 5 step, and yes, I will
Shield.
repeat it. You have
Shield.
a solid,
It's-
great, magical 5-foot step in this turn-based mode.
Oh.
You can feel it. You can do it anytime.
you can switch between different modes of movement, so that you don't spend more than you actually want. So now it's the 5-foot step mode. I can turn on the single move. Because of the haste, it's a little bit big. Or the full move.
Which you can do because you try
yeah,
to hit the
actually, because I don't have a standard action.
snap action.
Yeah, so I'll make the 5-foot step. Yay. Okay, and Lindsay will continue doing her 0 damage stuff. She actually does 0 damage here. After all, she is a buffer, not a... Whoa.
I'm listening.
That was a beautiful ending for this battle.
I do what I must.
Okay, some poison on
Another,
Valerie, but that's not.
another portal is sealed.
Yes,
Right here,
Yeah.
my friend.
it's closed for now.
I'm listening.
It will be opening
But
in
will it last long?
yes.
Yes,
It
It
will
will
last
last a
rather
month.
long.
Yeah.
Not a month.
Not
Around
The blessing of
6 to
prayer
9 months
lies
is
in the
usually.
soul. She seems
So
No, you have to wait until
yeah,
they gain enough information to.
but
Uh,
I've already
to make your
hit
life
the hell out
even
of-
worse.
No,
You feel you mean your
it's in 24 days they will come to.
consultants
Yes.
gathering information. I thought it was about face gathering information about you.
As you can see, this map is a little more explored than the starting one, and there are quite a bit of places to actually be. Some of them are marked with big. I forgot how it's called. Exclamation mark. Yeah. It means there is a quest there, so you may want to go there. And that's our capital. And we will load another save, well, because we want to show the
Sure.
kingdom in its kingdom gameplay in its glory. Okay, so I think this battle was a success. Nobody died, even though I made some pretty bad decisions. Okay, so that's our kingdom, and I think
This is a new version of the interface for the kingdoms that works with a gamepad. It shows all the same things, events, projects, everything, but also streamlined with easy access for the gamepad. Gameplay itself remains the same. You have to build up your barony, expand the borders, and deal with problems and opportunities as they arise with help of your companions that act like your advisors on the particular matters.
actually not only companions.
Yes.
Some NPCs can become your advisors, and that can be pretty helpful because some NPCs may be better advisors than your companions, or they can relate to your worldview better than
Yes.
your companions, because all of them actually have their own views on how the problems should be solved, and if you leave them to do their stuff, you can find yourself in a pretty
Yeah.
bad situation.
If you are, for example, if you are playing a good character but your advisors are evil, you kinda will not look their ways of ruling and how they want to shape the field they're assigned to. It could be very bureaucratic or with tight control over everything, or it could be just pretty brutal. If you, for example, put Rigongar in as a general, he is quite effective general, but it's a very, very ruthless general. So it filled with the decisions, and it's also showcase your companions and your NPCs from completely different angle, how they will approach the nation building and nation spanning questions, what policies they will suggest for you.
And the best thing is that there is no best decision for any situation, right?
It's
Depends on how you
it's,
play, which
uh,
character do you have, which advisors do you have on other positions.
It's also it follows same ideology as with a lot of things in Pathfinder. It is it provides you with tools and allows you to play with them. You can build the towns any way you want. There are many different builds that are quite effective. It fits with your decisions how to upgrade the regions, and for example, you can, I will spoil it a little bit, one of the regions has an upgrade that there are several upgrades that makes regions more inclined towards the agriculture and providing the you with population, with loyalty, and with settlements like villages. But also in one of the neighboring regions there is an upgrade that allows you to support and establish evil cult, and it completely it feeds off these agricultural regions to make it more powerful, but not in very pleasant ways. And it's up to you to decide if you want to go evil route. It will suit your kingdom, it will suit you mechanically. If you're playing like a good and nice ruler of the nation, you'll probably will just skip this upgrade completely.
Are there upgrades for vice versa, the good
Of course.
characters?
Of course, there are some very interesting combinations for good inclined characters as well. And far later in the game, when you have standoff with Pitax and you will eventually gain access
Spoilers.
to this region. Your decisions in the game will also allow you to have completely different versions of this particular region with all the buffs that comes with it, and it also comes from different directions. When you are going through the storyline, there are some events that happens. Yeah, I can continue spoiling, but I will just try to rephrase it. You will meet a special faction, and this faction can provide you, if you support them, can provide you with a kingdom buff, essentially, that affects the loyalty of your people, and it deals with one of the most important aspects of the kingdom is it stable right now, or is it going to unrest? And if it's going to rebel and eventually to become crumbling, you will lose the kingdom completely. And this particular faction has its own special way to dealing with rebels and unrest. It helps you, but it also depends whether you want to support this particular faction or you want to go against this particular faction.
It's loyal, right?
I will not say
Not?
anything. And also, when we are progressing through the kingdom, we are building up different.
Not loyal. I meant lawful.
That's lawful. Yeah, we have different decisions to make, and those decisions have different effects on our stats, on probably some buffs that happen to our kingdom, and on choices down the road. Because, for example, in several of the directions you are developing your nation, there is story going on. Like, for example, in the culture, there is a story about the musician who wants to make a greatest play, and it comes to you asking for support and resources, and it's up to you whether you want to support this particular person or not, or do something else entirely. And the story spans throughout the whole range of upgrades for the culture, and in the end you will know what happened because of your choices to this particular play and this particular person. And of course, kingdom is kingdom management, bringing it rewards to the adventuring part of the game as well. Some of them are rather small, like I can upgrade my regions, and in this region I will be immune to poisons, which is nice when I'm fighting a battle at the Bold Hilltop with nasty
Actually,
wyverns.
this project,
Yes.
which accidentally opened right now,
Yeah.
after one of the
Accidentally.
rank up
What did-
events with Harem,
Yeah.
which was about some strange religion coming to our lands. And I told Harem that he can choose for himself what he wants to do with them.
And Harem is all about supporting strange religions because he
He is
He's a
kind
member
strange.
of
of
one.
followers of one of the followers of a rather strange religion.
Not
and-
really strange, just a little bit of end of time religion.
Well, it has rather narrow circle of followers. So
But,
it could be considered
Most of them
strange.
die.
But he considers it his goal to preach for more and find more followers.
And he does it perfectly.
And another type of reward.
I know many people who think he is the best companion with best lines.
Yeah. And another type of reward from the kingdom management is special gifts artisans bring into your artisans whole roster of NPCs, crafters, who are living in those lands, and eventually they can come to you to ask you for financial support and probably to solve some of their problems. And if you do so, they are starting to bring you gifts in terms of the fruits of their labor.
They have their own quest lines.
Yes, and they also tied a little bit to the kingdom management as well. They're building up their workshops to be bigger, and if you are completing the quests, if
Lucky and good enough for
if-
them.
yes, and if your kingdom is developed enough in particular directions for them, and if they a few decisions throughout their quests were to their liking, they will probably give to you very powerful item, which is like almost artifact in power and can help you immensely in the latest part of the game.
Okay, quite an interesting event. Some people are going around telling people that I'm
Lycanthrope.
and I'll probably have to use some crisis points here because the DC is 25 and I don't actually want it to fail.
And you have 45 days to solve it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's one of the nasty ones.
yeah. I'm actually thinking about doing it like this. I don't like. I don't like where it's going. It'll probably have some nasty consequences. Yeah. I'm not into risking. After all, it's a problem. It's a kind of event you should actually try to
you
solve.
should probably just sell all the silver in the kingdom.
Maybe. Nothing
Just
is
in
actually
case.
going. I know you made those events, so you probably know what's gonna happen. Okay, so Amiri made herself better at her job.
Yep.
Well, actually,
It's consequences of your previous decision on
Yeah.
one of the rank ups.
I decided that training places for my militia on the borders is actually better than in the center because I probably have to defend the borders, not the capital. And Amiri actually wanted it to be like so, who am I to argue with her? She has a nasty big sword. That's good. This problem was solved. I actually have a lot of time in this save because it's after finishing the main story of the chapter. Some people find it a little bit unusual. In our game, you should probably try to finish the main quest in each chapter at the start of the chapter, not at the end of the chapter, because there are time limits on it. They're pretty generous.
So the sooner the better.
Yeah, the sooner the better.
Okay.
You will have all the time you didn't have to actually spend on the main quest
Yes,
to do anything you want.
Also, the problems tend to, for example, if there are trolls attacking your kingdom, eventually they start sending some scouting party against you, and you will be easily dealing with those because they're just easy trolls. but then they will just gather an army of trolls, and kind of more difficult to deal with. And then they could probably send you hordes of trolls, and those could be really difficult to deal with. So to stop this from happening, it's easier to solve the problem entirely and stop the flow of these trolls into a kingdom trying to rampage everything. Because of that,
Before it gets worse.
and those events support the narrative on one side, and on the other side they're just pushing you to start solving these situations.
Like taking care.
Yeah. We wanted to, for kingdom management, we wanted you to have feeling that you established something and you're caring for it. It's your nation, and when something starts happening inside the nation, or something is threatening it, you're inclined to try to defend your nation and your claim. And the system supports it. And right now we are upgrading the economy.
Treasury.
Yeah.
Our economy start.
Yes. Economy is pretty important. It brings you BPs and essentially money for developing the kingdom.
This save is actually earlier in the timeline than our battle on the Bolt Hill. Because usually the Bolt Hill top actually signifies that the next chapter is soon gonna start.
Yeah, it's
kinda.
kind of close to the next big thing.
Well, we have about 5 minutes before we go to a little break,
Mm-hmm.
and after that we will have the Q&A session. So maybe, do we have something left to show which will fit like 5 minutes?
I can just walk around the
I can play it all the
world
day
map.
long.
Yeah, I can actually play the whole
You
day.
can enter the
Maybe we
capital
forgotten
and just walk
something
around.
Oh yeah, I
particular.
can walk around the
Ah,
capital.
we've told we'll show vendors and
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will
Yeah.
go to
inventory
someone.
stuff.
Yes, we just
Can
will be
do
going
that.
into the capital, and there are vendors over there as well. And sometimes your companions comes to you and ask you to help with the quests and the stories.
Yeah, and they actually can become pretty disappointed in you if you don't address their problems for too long. For example, if you, I don't know, don't care for 2 years.
Yes, about a year usually.
Okay, I'll go to the
Well,
main
anyone
square.
would be disappointed if you turn
Yeah,
for
basically
them in 2
they're,
years.
they're your comrades, battle comrades, and if you ignore them for a year, I'd be pretty angry and maybe disappointed.
You know, I've asked you to call me, and it's already 2 years after that. So,
Okay,
do you
so
mind we being friends anymore? Or what? Something like that.
I've been waiting for you in the tavern for the last year, and you didn't show up
Standing
once.
by them, yeah.
Okay, that's our
You've been
little
drinking
town.
beer somewhere else.
I can talk to Harem, but he'll probably be a little bit pessimistic about life. Not really pessimistic. He's not a pessimist. He knows that everyone will die. It's his reality, actually. Oh, some vendors. They should be in the
Yes.
central square, for example. Let's see what you have. So
You can see the screen became wider.
I have a lot of differences.
So, vendor is one of the biggest and most difficult UIs in the game, and to fit it, to make it work, and to fit everything into the screen, we kinda made it scrolling. It's kind of scrolling through the two parts. This is your shared stash and the things you are putting on the table, and those are the things from the vendor. And
There are two separate journals lying next to each other.
yes, and you're putting the stuff, and then you're confirming the deal. So it's can be confusing when you go to the vendor for first time and don't see your own inventory. But
it looks like this, so it can be a little.
But you can just switch between the vendor inventory and your own inventory and put all items on the table.
And I can actually look at my characters, for example, or at my equipment, right in the vendor screen, so that I can actually see what's going on. Should I buy a pretty cloak or not, or not the cloak?
Yeah, and all of the functionality from the our initial version is still here. You can sort everything, filter everything, and
For example,
for
by name.
Yeah.
It's probably totally useless. This sort is not the best, but I can
by price.
sort by price.
Yeah,
That's much more interesting.
yeah, and you can still sort your inventory, sort the vendor's inventory, do everything, but it's changed to adapt for the TV screens and gamepads.
So I don't think I'll buy anything else.
And I guess it's time for us to go to a little break. And the next part will be really interesting. All your questions that were left unanswered will be answered. At least some of them. We'll be having two special guests after the break. So please stay tuned. James Jacobs and Mark Moreland from Paizo will join us to have some chat. So yeah, thank you for being with us, and stay tuned. We'll return to you in about 10 minutes.
And while this was said, our Baron was spinning in place, and none of the people actually cared.
Я не уверена, что это можно показать. we're back with our friends from Paizo, James Jacobs, the creative director, and Mark Moreland, the director of brand strategy. Do you hear us? Do we hear you? Yeah, hi.
Hi.
It's nice you joined us.
Hi.
How do you feel about our release today? Maybe
Thank you.
excuse me, I'm looks like looks like there are some problems with sound. Okay. I think you need to unmute. Uh-huh.
Excited to see how. Yay! And everyone can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back.
So, does everybody hear everybody now?
Hello.
Hello, this is James. Hopefully it works this time. It looks like they can hear me in the chat.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
And this is
Yay.
Mark. Everyone can hear me? Huh? No response?
Anyone?
Yeah, we are hearing
It's
you.
okay. All right, good.
Really
Looks like
well.
it's all
Yes.
good.
Wonderful.
Yay! So yeah, I just wanted to congratulate you on getting the game out on the consoles. It's pretty huge. It looks really cool. I love the way you've changed the interface and updated everything. It just makes me want to go. It makes me want to go play it again. So
Thank
that
you.
part accomplished.
Yeah, it's the first game that I've had any involvement with that I'm ever going to be able, or that I have been able to play on my television. You know, playing something on your computer is cool, but being able to play it on a big screen TV is cooler. So, yeah.
I
Exciting
think
for
the
that.
main selling point is not the TV, but the couch you can sit on.
Yep.
It really
Well.
changes everything.
Yeah, it's true.
I
it's
may
true.
get
It's-
used to it. And I consider myself a PC player for all
Yeah,
my
see,
life.
I've always been more of a console player, so for me, this is a big deal. But yeah,
I have my PC hooked up to my TV anyway, but
Yeah, same story.
using like the laptop and everything when you're sitting on the couch is kind of, it's not as easy as just like
Same story.
flopping down with the controller.
Same story for me. I just hooked up my personal computer to the TV, and I can play this game part with mouse and keyboard. But still, I prefer the couch to the table if possible.
Yeah.
And also, I need to say for our dear chat, so this is the time when you should start fiercely bombing us with questions and writing all the stuff that you kept on your heart, because we have some questions from that we gathered during the past couple of hours of the stream, but I think it's not all that you have for us. So please don't hesitate. Okay, I need to choose something for you guys. Here's the question. Hello, which designer decision do you feel like less perfect, if it was some, in Pathfinder Kingmaker? Didn't you
You
like?
decided to start with tricky one.
Why don't? Why should I?
May I answer this question? As I see the situation, there were nearly no decisions we were uniformly for or against. We argued all the time. It's part of the process. You can't make a decision that will actually make everybody feel good.
That's what we gathered here for. Right?
Yeah, so we have to make a compromise. We have to make a decision that we feel portrays the game like we want it, like we want the game to be. So some of the decisions may not be like the most probably user friendly or somebody friendly, but they are made so that the game is the way we want it to be.
I will add that I will just start by giving as an example. The biggest discussion we had is about whether the game should be real-time or turn-based. And actually now we came to the results, and both sides of those that discussion is happy.
You
But
can see where it led us.
yes, but for time being, it was one of the parts that a lot of people argued about, and there was pretty much a lot of arguments about the less amount of control player has during the crucial boss fights, and that we had to change more abilities that way, because a lot of abilities are easy to adapt to the turn base. It's just but on the other hand, we felt that for the games that we are making, we want more visceral combats, a little bit more of action and adrenaline coming from the battles, and that led us, and we want a little bit faster combats, and that led us to the real times. And another thing is we made a lot of iterations on subsystems. For example, the kingdom management had, in my if my memory serves me well, about 8 iterations. And some of them were just on paper, some of them were in the game. We were playing and iterating on that. And of course, sometimes you want to have just another iteration so that it will be better. But the reality of game development is that you have to stop and stop this process and say, okay, it already works quite well. Probably not the best way possible, but quite well, and we are going with that. I hope that answers the question.
So, James and Mark, is that the way that things going on in Paizo too? I mean, are arguing and seeking for this gold medal in different questions?
Full-blown wars.
There are more arguments the more Mark is involved, it seems.
There are not arguments when I'm involved.
No,
I don't know what
it's
you're
true
talking about.
Anything that's where you're working together to build like an entire world or a game that is not just for one person, but it's for all sorts of people. There's going to be differences in creative directions and like which rules to do where, and what storylines to tell and all of that. And it's certainly something that we've had arguments and clashes at Paizo, but I think it's more than worth the I guess the trouble, because if it's just one person creating a story, they can do a pretty good job depending on their talent. But the more people you get working together in a creative venue like this, the more ideas you have, the more ways to approach
More those
the
ideas
story. Well,
clash
they
with each
clash.
other.
They clash, but they build, because not everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really we built Pathfinder for the entire world to play, and there's parts of Pathfinder that I'm not a fan of, like certain classes or ancestries or stories that just aren't as interesting to me. But it's more than just for me, and getting that many people together to build a truly wide-reaching game with all sorts of options. I mean, even with the game that you guys made, Mason King, it's a single-player game, so at any one point, I mean, you could have gotten away with just presenting one character option, and that's it. But by having so many different options, it opens up the game so much more. So I think the clashes, the creative clashes, are well worth the end result for a more diverse, more wide-reaching game. So much more. So I think the clashes, the creative clashes, are well worth the end result for a more diverse, more wide-reaching game.
Yeah, and in my opinion as well, the worst features that could possibly happen in the game is the features nobody cares for. And when people care for something, they start to defend their vision of this something, and that means that leads to those arguments of passion. And after that, game becomes better, and it's a great process in my opinion.
And brings
I think
out the
at a
whole
certain
layer
point,
of things.
There's a bell curve, though. I think that the collaboration and the sort of iterating on one another and sort of presenting opposing views stops being productive at a certain point, and you just have to say, okay, someone's going to make this decision. You've heard all the points. Do what you think is best. And I think that teams work best when they trust one another, that they know that they've made their point and that it's been heard, and that even if it doesn't go their way, that the person making the decision has the game's best interest in heart and is taking all opinions into consideration. Because the last thing you want is for a book not to ship on time, or for a game to be delayed because you just couldn't get over this one internal conflict. And I think that that's sort of the balancing act of getting that level of collaboration without it bogging down the process is always a fine balance to reach.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and we actually have one person here who actually makes the decisions a lot of the times, and I know that
Basically here to make decisions.
yeah, and that he not far from always makes the decision that he likes. It's you usually make the decisions that are best for the game. You can argue for hours about those decisions, and you all sometimes do, but
Well, speaking of diversity and personal opinions, here is another question inviting for some arguments. People asking of our favorite companions and villains. Do you have any?
It's actually this question comes from time to time, and it's actually a little bit difficult to answer for me, because sometimes after the answer I can hear that, oh, this class is completely overpowered because I'm liking it, for example, and because of that I usually try to avoid the question. I will not do so now, but I just have a small introductory talk to this. So in terms of companion, I actually prefer mechanically I prefer ranged characters and spellcasters. So out of those, I have just a limited of number of characters who will be traveling with me and helping me. The one I enjoy interacting with most is actually Ikandaya. Because he's the normal guy in this situation. He's very tragic. He lost family. He tries to find new meaning in life and new ways to live with all that happened. And he doesn't speak much, but I do feel for him, and I kind of understand his tragedy, and because of that I don't want to make any decisions with my character that opposes his view, because he suffered enough already. And mechanically he's the best ranger out there, that can destroy almost anything with a very powerful animal companion, which makes great character to my liking, both from the story point of view and from mechanical point of view. In terms of villains, I really like the antagonist of the story, and I cannot elaborate on that because I will be spoiling the hell out of story. So I will just say the antagonist.
That's the thing we're doing during the whole stream.
As for me, I think my most favorite companion in Kingmaker is actually Jubilost. It's a very strange thing for me to say, because when I first met him, I was the person who wanted to drown him the most. I hated him nuts. I just wanted to punch his face like a lot. But after his story, it made a total 180. So I understood him, I started loving him, and I don't know, I think his character story is one of the best, in my opinion, the best companion story in Kingmaker. So that makes him, that and the fact that alchemists are cool and pretty strong makes him my favorite companion. As for villains, we can't actually talk a lot about them in Kingmaker, but I'll just tell something that has no connection to our today's theme. My favorite villain of all times is Handsome Jack. That's all.
I think my favorite companion. Was the question for us as well, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think it would be great if you also talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the nice things about the companions is that they were, with the exception of one who's one of our iconics and one who was adapted from an NPC in the campaign into the a full companion. They're all new creations. So as someone who is very familiar with all of the characters and all of the plot of the tabletop version of the game, it was so much fun to get to know these characters as I played through. And I would say my favorite switched, over time, and some of them have different story beats. Whoever was really in the spotlight tended to be my favorite at the time, but I think overall, the one whose banter I liked hearing the most, who I had the best time reading, was probably Jathal, because she's just so mean. She just doesn't care, and she's just like, I don't really like any of you. I'm here because it suits me. Yeah, you know, like her and Jubilost and Harem, like the three like just sort of jerks in the group were the ones that I don't know. I liked the sarcasm and insults that they threw, or in Harem's case, the nihilism of just what's even the point. So yeah, that's those are the ones that I definitely enjoyed. I don't think that they make the best party makeup for your supporting characters, but one at a time, maybe you can slip into just about any party makeup.
I think I'd have to kind of pick two of them if I were picking my favorite one, because when it comes to like just the mechanics and how they helped me play through the game, Jubilost was the go-to for me, since I was playing through as a bard, and I tended to have more of a a lot of the characters I chose of the companions weren't really hard-hitting companions. I had a Miri, but that was about it, and that really showed up. That weakness showed up whenever I ran into like golems into the game, and Jubilost being able to just like machine gun out his bombs was just the secret weakness from all golems. So I was just able to basically save my life against golems and swarms. So he was super handy to have around. But I was originally going to say Jaethal was my favorite as well, just because of her personality and her storyline, but Mark stole that. So I'd probably then shift over to Octavia. I really liked how she had this sort of built-in, not just a storyline that unfolded with herself, but with her brother and with the player character as well. It was just a really fun way to just see that 3-part story play out. But also because just the very small element of the technically that crept into the storyline. It's not something we were able to really ever do too much in the tabletop version, but seeing that element in Kingmaker was fun. So it's weird too, because while Octavia was a character that well, now that I'm saying that, I've got the same problem that I think Alex Sinker you had is like, well, actually Lindsay was really pretty cool, but I was playing a bard, so she was sort of like, doesn't really play well with another bard in the group, because that you get one bard and that's kind of enough. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
No one
The
wants to
weird
be
thing
the
though about-
Garfunkel.
yeah, except Garfunkel, hopefully.
Well,
The funny thing about Octavia, though, is that I think Ragongar was one of my least favorite people in the game, and I think that's partially because I just never really got into my mindset how a Magus works. And he kept doing this weird stuff that I didn't really want him to do. So, yeah, I adventured a lot with Octavia and left Ragongar back at home.
The great thing about maybe even all the companions is that most of them may seem a little bit annoying for the start, but you really get connected with them through the game. And we have some more technical questions to get covered. For example, is the Definitive Edition going to be mod compatible with the mods mostly already there? What can we say about the mods?
As far as I know, first of all, I'm not the best person to answer this, because
Me neither.
Lead programmer will be the best guy to answer that. As far as I know, we had a beta version of the Definitive Edition for some time and shown that to the mod community.
We got a new habit to show everything to the mod community and consult with them
to get them up to speed with the version, and if they had an opportunity, they could upgrade the mod version for the Definitive Edition. Of course, for some of the modders who are not playing the game after so much time, after the release, those mods will probably stop working because of the a lot of changes due to the turn-based mode.
But if the mod author still in connection and still works on the mod, so probably you should get in touch, and there could be some update for the mod too. That usually happens like that. So, and there's a funny question for James. I'm really interested. How will you answer this one? How happy are you to have dinosaurs in Wrath of the Righteous?
I saw that question in the stream, and yeah, I'm super happy that there's dinosaurs in there. Obviously,
Really?
anybody that follows me on at Paizo knows my avatar there is a dinosaur, and I've liked dinosaurs since I was a kid, and
Were you donating to us for dinosaurs? For a
maybe.
stretch goal?
I was definitely watching when I saw that was a stretch goal. I was like, we don't reach that. I might have to do something about it. But yeah, it's certainly like whenever I play any computer RPG games, I almost always try to play the same sort of character, sort of the charismatic swashbuckler style character. Simply because that way I'm playing the same character and I don't have to I sort of know where I'm going with that character, and it doesn't distract me from like the storyline of the game or anything like that. But knowing that there's dinosaurs in the game makes me tempted to play like a ranger or a druid or something like that. I mean, that's the whole reason I started playing World of Warcraft a million years ago. Is I was never really a big fan of MMOs, and they just I prefer the single player type experience. But my friend Wes Schneider let me know, like, well, you can tame a dinosaur. Oh, really?
Sold.
Where do I send my money?
And there will be a hunter class as well for Wrath of the Righteous, so you can have a team attacks with your dinosaur.
Yeah, but please do not be
Distracted.
distracted. Yeah, I turn to our viewers. So, nevertheless, you may think that, well, dinosaur it's like what's happening. No, it won't distract the main dark grim theme, and it won't spoil it. We'll make sure.
That's actually one thing that's weird about dinosaurs is there's a subset
Oh,
of fantasy fandom that doesn't like dinosaurs in fantasy settings, and it's a disconnect to them or something like that. And I've personally never really understood that. If you can accept, dragons and werewolves and vampires and angels and demons in something, there's it's not a much larger disconnect to accept like real world creatures like dinosaurs,
that's a solid point.
because they're real.
And demons aren't, James.
Yes, they are.
Oh no.
And
Captain
Santa.
Howdy.
Santa is real too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though you don't get a lot of Santa Claus in games. You get the Krampus occasionally, but not Santa
Yeah.
Claus.
Yeah.
I think there
Actually,
should be many games about
it-
Santa Claus directly, and him and all this.
We should have added New Year celebrations during your 5-year reign in the Pathfinder Kingmaker. It just occurred to me because we added the special small event when you're congratulated on your birthday, but it kind of slipped my mind to think about the huge folklore celebrations, because I know there's a huge calendar in on the Galarian that covers that, but it kinda.
There's even
I miss that opportunity.
there's
actually.
even some fan-made, I believe, Twitter account which posts each day, maybe every other day, posts which event or celebration is held on that exact day.
Oh.
So that there's so many of them. Okay. There were also some questions. That's the usual thing, but I think maybe while people are still asking, we may need to answer this again. Some people are still asking about new translations, new localizations. Unfortunately, no, we won't make new localizations for Pathfinder Kingmaker. But I always keep telling you that we always welcome any fan groups that want to work on that, and we always offer any help that you may require for that. But unfortunately, we are unable to make more localizations. And okay, there's always also a question. So, returning to one of the themes we were talking previously, you told us how we were arguing about turn-based mode, and finally came to this and make this. So the basic questions: why you guys decided to make turn-based mode version anyway? Maybe you can tell us.
The story is that sometimes after the release of PC version of the game, a new mod arrived to the scene. It was a turn-based mode made by Xanyu, and it got a lot of traction with community. A lot of people started playing the turn-based version, and we started seeing people asking for that to be made part of the game, and our community grown with people who came to enjoy Pathfinder Kingmaker, but only in turn-based. So they just bought the game because a friend told them install this mod and played the game completely with turn-based experience. And that make us think that one of our values when we were developing Pathfinder Kingmaker is that we want you to enjoy the game the way you want to. Because of that, there are a lot of difficulty settings. You can play it with story mode when you're enjoying the story, but they don't actually care about the combat. You can switch the kingdom management completely to the automation, and if you don't into this part of the game, you can just go around it. And if you want to play very deep mechanical combat, you can turn it up to the unfair mode, and there are a lot of challenges and puzzles solving this particular encounter or that particular encounter. And we found out that there are some players that don't want to play real time, and we're kind of restricting them from our game. And combining with, at that time, we started working on the console version, and controls on the console is for real time is trickier. We still made a lot of polishing, and it is very playable as a real time experience. But turn-based working with more precision, it allows you to select particular action each and every time, and it makes it a little bit easier on the gamepad. felt like a natural fit for the console. And a lot of people were asking for it, and we're feeling that we were restricting them from our game, and it all combined together that we will be adding. We decided to add the turn-based to the game, and also because we were sticking rather closely to the rules of the Pathfinder, it was quite easy for us to go from a real-time flowing, real flowing of the time to the separated turns, and most of the abilities remaining the same, and experience getting even more close to the tabletop that we wanted our game to be close to the tabletop feeling. So it all came together.
I have a question to James and Mark. Did you have a chance to look on the turn-based mode that we made, or maybe even played a bit, maybe try out the beta previously? And if yes, what do they think about closeness to the tabletop rules? What's your feelings about it, if you have any?
I didn't have a chance to play it, so I'm glad that it's there. I think that it's a great addition to the game, but I don't have any firsthand experience with it. I likely will now that I have the console version that I can play, because why not run it that way? I've already played it the other way, so.
So we should call you later for that.
Yeah. I'll be around.
I also I finished playing it before the turn-based version came out, but it's personally that's my preferred way to play. When I play a video game, I tend to I love just looking at just the artistry of the level design and the character design, and I think that's why in like first-person games I prefer the stealth games, because it just moves more slowly and you can admire the just the aesthetics of the game. And turn-based, I think, works better in that regard. You're not just frantically running around all over the place. I use the pause function a lot when I was playing through it. And I've also been hanging out with Peyton doing a playthrough on turn-based mode, and just watching him play it. It's really it's really compelling to me to play a game like that, and to a certain extent it makes the game last longer because you're taking your time playing through it. But that's fine with me when it's a game that's that's fun. And I just love being able to get in and micromanage all of the different choices and everything. I think that my problems with Regangar would go away in turn-based mode, because I'd be able to stop and figure out how a Magus works without having to worry that a troll's stepping on me.
So turn-based
I
can
think
really turn the table, turn your immersion of the game.
Yeah, I think that some of the early criticisms of difficulty or things like that were that game rules that were designed to be run on turn-based, where each character takes their actions and then the next person does, even if it's supposed to all be happening simultaneously. I think that there are certain mechanics that when you switch them out of the mode they were meant to be played in, can have unpredictable effects. And so I love that there's the opportunity now for someone to play random encounters with it on real time with pause, because then it doesn't really typically matter what your party's positioning is and whether someone moves into flank before or after they take the attack. But you could switch it for the boss fight. That's going to be super tactical because you have terrain considerations to make, or one of your characters has 4 hit points, or whatever. I love that versatility, and I think that a lot of those hiccups that came from translating the Pathfinder rules as closely to the printed version as they were, that appeared early on in the game's life cycle, are really going to be addressed by it. So I'm excited to do that.
Thank you.
And there's really nice question. I like it, but I'm not sure if we will be able to actually answer them. But I take a chance. So, what innovations did you come up with designing Kingmaker for console? Have you carried over into designing Rust?
Um,
Do we have?
so the biggest innovation we have is actually the turn-based mode,
Well,
and we will carry it to the Wrath of the Righteous. But actually, the Kingmaker and the Wrath are completely different games with different everything in terms. They have same mechanical foundation, but the story is different, the feeling is different. Wrath is darker. Story is darker. On the other hand, you don't have a kingdom for yourself.
by the way, have we had a question about will we have some kingdom mechanics in Wrath?
But you have a crusade to lead, and it's different. It's different in terms of the adventure will spans not for 5 years, but for far smaller amount of time. But you still have your strategic choices when you are building your armies and sending those armies against the armies of demons. And what we are bringing from the experience from Kingmaker is the things that we really loved, like for example the depth of the mechanics and the Pathfinder system that allows you to make any character you want. And we are expanding the roster of the classes, we're expanding the roster of archetypes, we're expanding, we're giving you more blocks to build the characters, and this is one of the strongest points of the game. If you want the mechanical versatility and those to fiddle with all these characters, it works really well, and we are trying to build upon that. And we are adding additional layer that is mythic development, and it also fits with this idea of this versatility. And also we will be having a cameo appearance from the Kingmaker, so I can say that we are bringing something from the Kingmaker into the Wrath of the Righteous.
And dinosaurs.
And dinosaurs.
And dinosaurs.
Well, someone may say that we should bring dinosaurs from Wrath to Kingmaker.
I'd
We
have some
have
problems with
some
dinosaurs.
funny story we will tell you a bit later in our social networks about dinosaurs. Excuse me, you wanted to say something.
I wanted to say that I'd have some problems with dinosaurs roaming the forests of stolen lands. It sounds a bit strange.
More strange
no.
than hordes of fays.
Well, actually, yes.
No, it's not.
I mean, that's one thing too, that when we're building, we have in the tabletop side of things, we've got, in first edition we had 6 different bestiaries, and there were thousands of different monsters to choose from. But you can't just throw any creature into any setting and have it, the more you like mix things up like that, the less realistic. I mean, and that's a weird word to use when you're talking about dinosaurs and dragons and elves, but yeah, dinosaurs, they feel out of place in the Stolen Lands because there's this element of megafauna with the mastodons and the thylacines, and like extinct mammals are a bigger deal in the Stolen Lands, smilodons and cave bears and stuff like that. And although technically in Galarian, dinosaurs and mastodons can fight each other, which is fun, it just it doesn't feel thematically appropriate to mix them in Stolen Lands too.
And for Wrath of the Righteous, actually we are closer to the place where dinosaurs could live, because there is a place.
You mean geographically?
I mean, yes, because there is. I could be misspelling names, but in the Land of Mammoth Lords, there is a place where you can go deep underground, and there is some hidden valley that features dinosaurs.
Yeah, Tolga.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's a great example of a place where in Galarian you would have these types of creatures all living in the same place. And part of the reason we do that is so that if you just like drop down an adventure anywhere in the world, it should feel like it's part of a specific part of the world. Like a horror adventure, like in a haunted house, might make sense in the nation of Ustalav, where we've got a lot of horror stuff going on, but it wouldn't really thematically fit in nearly as well in, say, the Five Kings Mountains, which is all about dwarf stuff. A haunted house in the middle of the dwarven mountains. You could have a haunted dwarven city.
Are dwarves immune from
no.
ghosts?
But they're not. But having like an old Victorian style haunted house in the middle of a dwarven city it's nonsensical.
But you could have a dwarven keep that's haunted.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Thematically.
Well, yes, and we have rather many questions about making Pathfinder Kingmaker for Switch, and well, I think we should answer that also. And it's rather early to talk about that. Unfortunately, it's rather challenging to make this port for us, so we should firstly look how Kingmaker will perform on PS4 and Xbox, and then we will make some decisions and think about it.
Yeah, in terms of the game itself, game is great for the Switch because it's the RPGs work well on the Switch, and it works especially well because RPGs are long and Switch is with you while you travel, and it's easier to go through the whole game on this platform.
Going deep into the story and everything.
But technically it is tricky, and initially we thought it will be a little bit easier for us. But for now we decided to concentrate on the release for PS4 and Xbox to make sure that everything works there perfectly and smooth. And as you said, then that after that we will be deciding if we are able to port the game to the Switch.
Okay. Well, as I see, we're nearly running out of time. But if we want to chat a bit more, we may do that. But if we won't have any more questions, so we may maybe end the stream. What do you think?
I could sit for quite a while talking about the Pathfinder, both Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, because I am excited that I had an opportunity to work on such games, because I actually came to the industry it was my dream to be working on the great RPGs and bring those experiences. So I can be talking about them for quite a while.
Okay, guys, we're going. Sasha stays and continues the stream. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thank you for being with us. Mark and James, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. We always like being able to chat with you guys. You're far away, So so this is the only way we get to see you guys.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
always welcome you here to our studio.
Well, we're not allowed to travel outside the U.S. at the moment, so
Yeah,
Well-
the pandemics actually stopped us from visiting you and you from visiting
Yeah.
us. But we can continue to keep in touch online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually obstruct our talking to each other.
no,
No,
we
yeah,
were
that's
already
absolutely
using
true.
Zoom, so it's yeah.
Technology.
Okay.
And thank you everybody for being with us on Twitch and YouTube. Well, that's a great stream. We should make a bit more of it, of them. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
Have
Thank you.
a great game.
Yeah. Take care. Enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Enjoy the game.
Thank you. Goodbye.
you.